professional lives bleed into our personal lives. With a do more with less mentality and better technology, the line gets blurred even more. But what if you could do everything you wanted? We're all busy. But what if it was simply a matter of working smarter, not harder? What if you could do more in a 40-hour week than you can your current 50, 60, or 70-hour work week? What if you could do it with better quality? Have more time to develop relationships and strategically improve your business. Good time management and organizational skills are a must for successful professionals. Time management is a disciplined mindset that enables us to live in the present while working towards the future. It's mental. It's an attitude. Having control in our lives is about commitment, routine, flexibility, adjustments, and planning. We create our own self-limitation. We say we'll do tomorrow what we really want to do today. Eliminate what's holding you back. Today I'll share insights and specific actions around the following themes. Manage your time. Don't let it manage you. Time management is a requirement of all positions and all roles in all organizations. And the benefits of managing your professional time effectively spills into your personal skills. The first time I remember being called anal retentive, I debated whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. According to Methodics Dictionary, it's a person who pays such attention to detail that the obsession becomes an annoyance to others, potentially to the detriment of the anal retentive person. The term derives from Freudian psychoanalysis. I guess a description with the word psychoanalysis and obsession may not always be a good thing, but the term grew on me. The references to me being anal retentive typically revolved around making sure that things got done. Nowhere in the definition does it mention time, organization, or time management. Yet, when people say they don't have time, what they're really saying is they can't get done everything they wanted to do. Do everything you wanted to. Pay attention to the right priority. I've been teaching time management for over 15 years. I want to emphasize the following 4 points. 1, there is no secret to time management. Commitment, routines, and other factors will lead to your success, but there is no secret sauce. When you find the right balance that works for you, you will find success. 2, as attached as we are to the latest and greatest technology, they are only tools to the process of time management. In fact, some of them eat up large chunks of our time, including social media, without us even realizing it. Ever hear of Candy Crush? Although I do appreciate a good picture of somebody's dinner posted online. 3, as previously stated, our personal and professional lives are intertwined. We may not believe we bring our work home with us. We may not even talk about it. But we do think about it. What do I have to do tomorrow? Did I ever send an email? Did I ever get back to my boss? A dozen random work thoughts worm their way into the sanctity of our home life, regardless of how we want to keep them safe. Finally, for as long as I've been sharing time management tips, it's been rare that I've made significant changes to what I've been teaching. It's not that I haven't evolved over time. It's just that I found that people overcomplicate the process or have more excuses than solutions. Let's oversimplify instead. Let's start with sleep. I sleep extremely well. On most nights I sleep more than the recommended 8 hours. I wake up refreshed and ready for each day. I balance between a full-time job and my side interests while still attending my children's piano recitals, sporting events, and other activities. I mention this not to say, look how much I can jam into a day. I truly don't feel like I jam anything into a day. I simply prepare for it ahead of time. I own my 24 hours. I don't rent them. I determine what I do with it. I'm accountable. I was sitting in a company-sponsored time management training as a brand new manager at the ripe old age of 24. In my hands, I held a time management binder that I was sure would solve all of my problems. The instructor made a comment that has unintentionally stuck with me over the years. If you don't manage your time well, you'll be playing catch with one of your kids one day and your mind will be elsewhere. Fast forward to many years later. I was playing soccer with one of my kids one day and my mind was wandering. I was distracted with work thoughts. My professional life was bleeding into my personal life. Time management has human connections that impact more than you. I was running to what I thought to be the most important meeting ever, so important I can't remember what it was. What I can remember is someone who worked for me stopped me at my office door and asked if I had a couple minutes. I asked if it was important. The words said no. The eyes I remember so clearly said yes. I never saw her again. I found out later she had stress-related mental health issues. I could have found her the support and assistance she needed with a quick phone call. Instead, my calendar told me exactly where I needed to be and at what time. People take priority in time management. The lesson I had to learn the hard way. Have you ever been deep in thought or just hit your stride on a project only to have it snatched away with a phone call, an email that caught the corner of your eye, or even worse, a loud ding from one of the devices you're working from? Research has proven it'll take up to 7 times longer to get back to that thought than it took you to have the original idea in the first place. Minimize the distractions. Turn off your ringer. Turn off your email previews. Turn off the noise. Turning off the world won't solve your problems, but it will allow you to batch them until you're ready to deal with them. That's fun. You do eventually have to turn the world back on. How do you deal with it? You build in time for the unexpected, or as the business world likes to affectionately call it, fire drills. In an article entitled "Don't Let Technology Take Over," Dave Beck references a basic study of over 1,000 office workers showing that interruptions consume more than 2 hours, or 28% of a typical workday. Have you accounted for these 2 hours? Have you taught yourself to jump in to deal with these interruptions? Block off time to deal with emails, phone calls, and other unanticipated tasks. These blocks can be an hour, 2, or even more, and don't necessarily need a start time. They might start with a time, but they're flexible enough to move throughout the calendar. And block has a double meaning. Online and in many organizations, people might see that you're occupied and might not schedule something during that time. If a fire drill comes in, you take from these blocks that are less urgent so that you can deal with it. I was once transitioning into a brand new role, and I was sitting with the person whose job I'd be taking over. I asked him for a task list. He handed me 2. A short list, and then a much longer list that included all the items from the short list, plus many others. I asked him the difference. He said the short list was the least amount of work he can do in a day and walk out of here satisfied knowing he had all the critical items. Since that day, I've managed the concept of the least amount of work I can do in a day. Instead of pushing items day to day, which can actually take time, start to establish a must-do short list. Once all these items are done, you can start pulling in items from future days, weeks, or even months out. You must understand that pushing items day to day is a red flag. When you can account for the least amount of work you can do in a day and still consider yourself successful, you can walk out of here satisfied and understand the power of the pull versus the push. Next, touch it once. Get your minds out of the gutter. Talking about email. I used to be the business support manager at a very large organization, and I was privy to my manager's inbox and asked to manage it for him periodically. Seemed easy enough. So the first time I read it, there were over 1,000 emails. Some were read, some were allow yourself to read it or even preview it, you need to do something with it. And that might be unsubscribe if it's junk. Just delete it. Read it and delete it. Read it and respond to it. Read it, put it somewhere else for future reference, or put it in your calendar to actually work on it. That's it. Leaving it in your inbox is not an option. Learn to touch it once. Why touch it once? Because according to bizcommunity.com, there are more than 294 billion emails sent each day, with an estimated 75% considered spam, according to the Retentive group from 2010. Getting through to 75% plus the 25% takes a valuable time. Now imagine, every time an email comes in, it grabs your attention and pulls you into multitasking. We live in a reactive work environment. We're slaves to this form of communication and we're leashed to the devices that enable it. Take back control. Establish an email strategy. I'm going to reiterate some points with the DIRT method. D-I-R-R-T. D. Dedicate time to your inbox. Don't take them on one at a time throughout the day. I. Ignore new messages. Rather than behaving like Pavlov's dog, don't react to every bell and whistle telling you you have mail. R. Remember to touch it once. Take action and don't read it multiple times. R. Resist the urge to grab your smartphone first thing in the morning. Your attitude will thank you. And T. Turn off the features that tell you you have mail. Have you ever watched an episode of Hoarders happening right in front of you? I used to have a person work for me who was great with people, but lacked organizational skills. We'd been working on him, and I'd seen some improvement. She said she'd get around to it. So I sat down at her desk and looked behind her. Her credenza was open and not intended for me to see. She was a file hoarder. There were mountains of unfiled paperwork, personnel files, and whatever else hidden behind. She did say she'd get around to it, so we set a deadline. I came back the day after the deadline, and not a lot had changed. She said, I tried, but there was just too much. I didn't have time. As stated throughout this entire presentation, we do have time. It's just a matter of what we do. The simplicity of putting everything behind her turned into a pressure-filled ticking time bomb that still had to be addressed. She saw the stack as psychologically difficult to attack. Her strategy was avoidance. I've rarely seen that strategy. I saw it as a series of simple and immediate tasks that could be done quickly. We tackled it together in less than 30 minutes. In life, we often put off what appears to be burdensome. Change your mindset and have the same commitment level as if the deadline's hanging over your head. It's the same pressure. It's just done sooner. These are just some of the many strategies that will make a difference in your life. Let's go to the speed round. Use daily appointments. Every day at 5 o'clock, see what you have coming up for tomorrow. 5 o'clock every Friday, see what you have coming up for the following week, and on the 26th, not the 30th of each month, see what you have coming up for the next month in quarter. Use reoccurring appointments. You don't want to get to the point where you're thinking about time management, just have it remind you. And have these reoccurring appointments for emails and phone calls. Don't have to think about it. But we do think about it, don't we? And so when we go to sleep at night, what do? We toss and we turn, and we try to remember that thing that's going on in our head, and then we don't get a restful sleep. Put a pad of paper and a pen next to your nightstand. There are 3 benefits. 1, even if it's dark and you can't read your writing, the likelihood of remembering it is pretty good. You will sleep better. You'll actually have better ideas knowing it's there because you're going to hit the inner non-stress part of your brain. Under-promise, over-deliver. Be realistic with your deadlines. Don't be the eager beaver who misses deadlines. Be the realistic employee who professionally sandbags and gets stuff done early. Account for ancillary time. Every single day, you walk the halls. You run into somebody and chat. You grab some water. You take bathroom breaks. Account for all of that. Figure out about how much of that happens in a day and make sure it's accounted for on your calendar. Stop using checklists if you're pushing them day to day. Do use checklists and don't recreate brand new ones each time. How do you start your day? How do you end your day? Packing for trips, a summer trip, a winter trip, a business trip. Get to a point that you can modify them as you go, but don't recreate brand new ones. It's wasted time. Stop multitasking. It's proven research that it does not work. However, do multitask when you're actually doing nothing. And that means standing in a line, grocery. Anyone ever been on a conference call? Yeah. Anyone ever been on a conference call that actually started on time? Yeah. Congratulations. Come see me after, I'll give you some. A minute, a 3, a 5, 10 minutes late. That's your time for quick hit items. Commit yourself to start and end time. If you see yourself coming up towards an end time, don't bleed into the next appointment. If you keep pushing it, you're going to push the rest of your day, and it's only going to cause more stress. You have one of two choices. Either take what's coming up and formally move it, or take what you're working on right now and formally put it somewhere at a time where you know you're going to continue to work on it and follow up. Commit yourself to lunch. I make very few promises, but I promise you will be much more productive if you take a regular lunch. Are there going to be times you have to work through lunch periodically? Sure, it happens. But if you think you're gaining because you're working 5 hours over everyone else versus the last 4, I will promise I'm much more productive in those 4 hours after I take that break. Whether it's going for exercise, going to see someone, just getting up away from your desk, even if it's just for 30 minutes, take the break. Stop scheduling things for over 90 minutes. Your productivity at the 91st minute is blah. If you do have something scheduled for 3 or 4 hours, at the 91st minute, do something. Stand up, stretch, grab some water, read an article, get your mind completely off of what you're doing, and then come back. You will be much more productive. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. You'll never know the difference. Blend your work and your life schedules together. We spend so much time trying to keep them separate. Put them together. Let them work together. And if for some reason at work you can't do that, at least have them run parallel so you're seeing them at the same time. Understand what's important and urgent to you may not be important or urgent to others, and vice versa. This is the time in the program where we're talking about communication and time management and how they go hand in hand. This is your chance to ask questions. Be curious of your boss at home, at your boss at work. Get on the same page if you're not. Be decisive. Make decisions. Anyone ever had an email sit in their inbox for a while? Yeah. You're not sure what to do with it, and then you just see it the next day and a week later and a month later. Make a decision on it. Even if it's, I'm not sure what to do with it, I'm going to make a decision to talk to someone else and have them make a decision on it. Be decisive. I've got 100 things going on. Phone rings. I picked it up. It's my wife. Sorry, honey. There's 100 things going on. I don't have time right now. She said, well, why'd you pick up the phone? Making a decision also means allowing yourself to say no and not doing something. Ask for help before it's too late. If your nose is above water, congratulations, you are winning. This is communication. Talk to people on what's sitting on your plate. If your nose goes under, you've probably already made some mistakes and it's too late. Ask for help before it's too late. Double the expected time. You think it's going to take 15 minutes to go to the store? Make it 30 minutes. If you've ever been to the dump in Maine, you'd understand what you think it's going to take 30 minutes to meet with someone? Make it an hour. This builds in some of that ancillary time. And the last thing, probably the most important, critical tool of all of time management is FU. Follow-up. It's appropriate. Have follow-up appointments. Someone asks you to do something, it should be 2 places on your calendar. The date and time is due and the date and time you're actually working on it. That's your FU appointment. You ask someone to do something, you put a follow-up appointment for them. That way you're keeping things moving. You see, the concept of time is man-made. As the centuries passed, the lone town church bell that marked the end of a typical workday somehow turned into managing every second of every day. As a result, we've blurred the line between life and business. We have a choice every day with a 24-hour school. I've been anal retentive, and I've been a consummate teacher and student of time management for years. Yet, I don't wear a watch. There's enough apparatus out there in the world telling us the time. To me, time is the present, not a device. We can't live in the past. We only have this moment, but we can make our future better by managing our present effectively. I gave instructions to someone I mentor for her own development. She agreed it was reasonable and committed to doing it. She didn't do it. Her exact words were, "I didn't have time." That's too bad. Doesn't hurt me. Also doesn't help her. I can't force her to do it, but she couldn't find 30 minutes a month for her own development. We create our own self-limitations. We say we'll do tomorrow what we really want to do today. Take back your day. Today is a self-reflection on what you can do to control the day. If you don't think you have time to invest to improve your own time management, think again. There are only 24 hours in the day, and they can't all be devoted to work or Toastmasters. But if you don't get the work right, you can't balance your own development and Toastmasters and life. So start immediately. In time management terms, that's now. Yes.
How do you turn your mind off at the end of the day before you go to sleep?
Turn on the Red Sox, which makes it worse. It's easy because I know it's there. I know when I walk out of the office exactly what's on my plate for tomorrow. I know exactly what's on my plate for the week. I know if I'm traveling. I know if I'm speaking. I know when the children are doing their thing. I know exactly. And that knowing is peace. It really, truly is peace. And then if for some reason I forgot something, guess what? It's going on my pad when I wake up at 3 a.m. And I wake up at 3 a.m. a lot. I really do. Call me at 3 a.m. probably awake. Just for that second, though, you have to catch me at the right second. Because I'm writing it down and I go right back to sleep.
How do you set if you're setting your email check from 9 to 10 daily or 11 to 12 daily, because I know that does work and it's not popping up automatically, you don't see it, but the rest of the company doesn't understand that or know that. How do you convey that to them? Do you send an email out saying, hey, officially I'm only going to be checking from 9 to 10? Or do you check emails that have the little, red exclamation point only? Or, I mean, there are fires, but some things, how do you determine that when you're only checking your email?
First of all, I don't care if it says important on it. I'm not going to get to it. But here's where communication comes in. And first of all, online they can see if I'm occupied or not, and may not have something during that time. But here's where communication comes in. 80% of my requests come from 20% of the people. I set the expectations early on, whether it's a direct report, whether it's a boss, or whether it's a business partner. I tell them, and this is honest, I will get to your email most likely within 24 hours. I will never ask of you to to have anything due to me within 24 hours. And if for some reason I do, I'm going to pick up the phone, or I'm going to send you an instant message, I'm going to get a hold of you. But no one in this company should expect to have something urgent, I need it within the next hour, sent to me on email. And by setting that expectation, they usually respect it back. And they usually call me and say, Tom, fire drill, and we say, oh, here we go. But you have to express the right urgency through the right channels of communication. That's what's critical. And there was one last hand over here. Yes.
I was just curious if you could, at the very beginning, how do you control your time? You had an acronym. Could you just read? Not an acronym, but you had the
Control,
Yeah, the control.
flexibility, adjustments, and planning. What this one?
What was the R?
Routine.
Routine.
Control, routines, flexibility, adjustments. Control, routine, flexibility, adjustments, and planning. I hope that doesn't spell. Good thing there's a middle letter in there.
Commitment?
I appreciate everyone's interaction. I appreciate your questions. Thank you so much. And I think we have a